What is up, webheads? Welcome back to another very exciting and informative Marvel Spider-Man 2 related video. We are now just under 6 days until Marvel Spider-Man 2 launches on the PlayStation 5, and I could not be more excited, just like all of you probably are. And just this week, we got some very exciting news that talks about how Marvel Spider-Man 2 escalates each character's personal and superhero struggles. Insomniac Games Senior Creative Director Brian Intihar and Marvel Games Vice President and Creative Director Bill Roseman delved deep into an interview with Marvel.com to really break down the challenges that Peter, Miles, and even MJ face in the game. When trying to formulate the story of this game, the team over at Insomniac and Marvel really talked about why they love Spider-Man. Brian Intihar said the thing that we said right from the bat was he's probably the most relatable superhero out there. He's not a soldier like Captain America, he isn't a god like Thor, he isn't a billionaire like Tony Stark, he's just a kid from Queens, and Miles is just a kid from Brooklyn. They have good days and they have bad days, and their strengths and weaknesses, and real problems that we can all identify with and struggles that we've all had in our lives at one point or another. And I really think that Marvel Spider-Man 2, that whole type of thing that they sat down to talk about Spider-Man's struggles and relatability, that's going to be at the core of this very game, and that's a super good sign. Brian went on to say, I think we can try to inject that into every story that we do. So for example, probably most people in their lives at one point or another can identify with the fact that they have to apply for college. That's what Miles is going to be going through. Like, okay, I've got to write this essay, this college essay, and he's struggling with it. Peter, on the other hand, is trying to figure out, okay, I'm trying to start out this new teaching gig, and I'm trying to figure out living at Aunt May's house now. How am I going to do it? And then to take it even a step further, he's trying to, figure out the next step with Mary Jane and him now being back together. How's that going to work? What's the next step in their relationship? Where is it going? Intihar continued on by saying, we probably all have those stories. And then not only that, Peter now has his best friend Harry coming back into his life, who's also the best friend that he, grew up with. But then he also has Miles. What's that going to be like? And then with MJ and her situation, she's really trying to establish herself at the Daily Bugle, and she now has a boss who has a very different philosophy in J. Jonah Jameson. So it's really trying to find those situations of, oh, I remember that, or I remember going through that, or even I know someone close to me that went through something just like that. Intihar stated that that's kind of where this whole story started from. Of course, they're going to have crazy characters like Kraven, the Lizard, and Venom even part of the story, but what's going to become of the narrative to the story when they're not in a specific scene or a part of the story? What's going to happen? And I think these whole challenges and problems are going to be at front and center for each of these core characters. Brian concluded by saying, if we can get that down, then all the other stuff is it's like we're baking a cake. That's the cake part, and then the icing is all the superhero stuff that comes along with all of that. Marvel Games VP Bill Roseman also weighed in by saying, and you talk about what they're going through, and there's an escalation, right? Because every Spider-Man story, no matter how old the different Spider-Men are, it's always a coming-of-age story at its heart. What does that mean? Well, there are moments in our lives when we have to leave the nest for whatever reason, and at that moment, we have to make decisions all on our own. What we have from here, from the first game to this game, as they're all getting a bit older, the choices that they have to make are definitely escalated. What do I do with my life? What kind of person do I want to be? Who do I want to be my partner? So they're all pretty much at a moment in their lives where they're making some really key choices and decisions, and that's just from the civilian side of their life, not even their superhero part of their life. So when you incorporate and add on all these superhero types of things in that Marvel magic, we say it's like a worlds colliding, my civilian life, my superhero life. They're both at odds, and they ultimately have to make a choice. As you go through the game and experience all of it, you'll see all those choices, Bill teased. Story lead for Marvel Spider-Man 2, John Paquette, included this whole interview by saying, when we're writing and creating the characters, we always say that when Spider-Man wins, Peter loses, or Miles loses, or MJ loses, that push and pull has always got to be there, because it's not just one big sacrifice for every Spider-Man story. Spider-Man is constantly sacrificing. He's constantly got to make the choices between, do I do something for Spider-Man or do I do something for myself? That is what I think makes him a really cool character. Somewhat relatable, but it's really fun to work with that dynamic. So of course in Marvel's Spider-Man 2018 for the PS4 and Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, we definitely saw how those games definitely take their characters' personal and superhero struggles and put them at odds against each other. But clearly from these teases from the Insomniac and Marvel developers, all of those little tastes that we saw of this from the previous games is definitely going to get pumped up up a notch in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and the stakes are going to be a lot higher, and it's really going to make things a lot more interesting from a story perspective and just even a gameplay perspective as well. And I absolutely cannot wait. I'm literally staring at the countdown screen on my PlayStation 5 until the game officially comes out, and this is one of those rare instances where I just want to push time to go forward a little bit more. I wish I had a DeLorean so I could go into the future a week to just play this game. But guys, that's going to do it for this video on some minor plot details for Marvel Spider-Man 2. How are you guys hanging in there during this final stretch for the game? And have you been able to steer clear of any spoilers for the game? Definitely let me know down below in the comment section. I love reading what you guys have to say. Leave a like on this video if you got something out of today. It definitely helps push this video out so more and more people can see it throughout the community. If you love everything related to Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man 2, definitely make sure that you're a subscriber to my channel, as I'm going to cover all the news and updates leading up to launch and all the coverage that you're ever going to want to see after the game finally releases. Thank you all so much for watching. See ya, chumps.
See ya, chump.